Hi, everybody. We're the Skeleton Crew, and today, in our next installment of Paleontologists Rank the Dinosaur Designs of Jurassic World Evolution 2, we lie to you and don't rank a dinosaur design. You may once have been a small child who likes paleontology, and if you ever were, you've certainly told people that today's animal is not a dinosaur. We're talking about Dimetrodon. I'm sorry?
I said I certainly have a lot.
Oh, yeah. My parents used to find me in museums, having wandered off with groups of confused tourists, explaining things to them about dinosaur taxonomy.
Wait, no, what? Really?
This has happened a few times. There's actually a home video that my parents found not too long ago, where my mom had to just go find me in the Hall of North American Mammals at the AMNH because I was explaining the difference between a jaguar and a leopard to a group of people who they had lost me.
How old were you?
I was like 5.
That's cute. Okay,
it's cute. No, it was young enough to be cute.
Do you think this interest in taxonomy has that in any way influenced your trajectory in life?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Tell you the minute differences between these superficially very similar animals.
I sure can. I think in that particular case, we had been like walking past this group and they said, "Look, a leopard," and I just was like, something is wrong, and just peeled off.
It's all right. I was also a museum lurker.
Yeah,
and still am.
No, it's fun. Now, this is the time in the video where I would normally say, "Hi, I'm Dr. James Napoli. I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences and North Carolina State University." But if you've been paying attention to my social media feed recently, you may know that my professional affiliation has changed. As of May 1st, 2024, which is the day before we recorded this video, I am officially a research instructor at Stony Brook University. Thank you. Everyone clap. Everyone clap.
Please clap.
Please clap.
Please clap.
Please clap.
Wow, you can join the list of people I knew from my paleo education who now work at Stony Brook.
It's a long list. Yeah. I'm very excited. I haven't moved up yet. Obviously, this is still my apartment in Raleigh, North Carolina, but I'm relocating in the next couple of weeks and starting teaching there in June. I'm very excited. We made it, folks. At least one of us has now landed the coveted faculty positions, and I'm sure the rest of us are soon to follow. So it's very exciting. It's very cool. I'm happy to be able to finally share it with you guys. I think I actually could have shared it a couple of videos ago, but I didn't. Academic hiring is a fun process where you go through multiple stages of getting different letters that inform you you're probably getting a job, until you get the official confirmation that you've gotten the job, which in my case came, I think, 3 days before my official start date. So it's fun. Anyway, that's me.
All right, well, for me, same bat time, same bat channel. I am still Amelia Zietlow, PhD candidate at the American Museum of Natural History. However, today we have a special guest, which is former Carthage student, current master's student at the
University of Calgary. My name is Nathan Cochran. As introduced, I've always been off screen, just off, and I've in every video that's happened. But I switch between which of the members which I stalk. But you'll never see me if you don't look hard enough. I work primarily on the focus of today's video, so I am very glad to join the Skeleton Crew for this very exciting opportunity.
And for those of you non-believers who think we gamed the wheel to time it with his visit, we did not.
No, we do game the wheel, but this was not one of those times.
First of all, no, we don't. It's not like
we literally just did.
We didn't spin the wheel. We did not spin the wheel.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Sorry. But no, we did not game the wheel. We spun the wheel, and we're like, oh, what great timing.
Yeah. Divine intervention.
Divine intervention.
It was perfect timing.
Yes.
And it's good that we have Nathan here because we don't know anything about dimension.
No,
we don't know shit about.
I do not, in fact, know about.
Well, Amelia might have Nathan visiting her at the moment, but in a couple days' time, Nathan is going to be visiting me because I am Scott Johnston, and I am the vertebrate paleontology fossil preparator and technician at Harvard University's Museum of Comparative Zoology. And I realized that phrasing it that way makes it seem like Nathan is coming specifically just to see me. That is not the case. He is coming to take a look at our Dimetrodon at the MCZ, and seeing me is a nice treat. I hope. Please clap.
Well, I thought it was a nice treat.
Oh, thank you, Alex.
Yeah. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. It's your turn, Alex.
Oh, of course it is, because we're... Oy vey. Well, my name is Alex Rubenstahl, and I'm a PhD candidate at Yale University. And the extent of knowledge I have about Dimetrodon is a survey of the Wikipedia page I did 2 months ago. No, that's not true. I have a little bit, but not nearly as much as our esteemed guest, Nathan.
No, I know far too much. It racks my brain and expands my cranium.
Good.
Truly in constant pain over here.
He's the
library.
He's the meme. He's the meme of the guy sitting on his swollen brain.
Yes. Forms a nice sail along my back, which I refuse to turn around in this video.
That's why Dimetrodon did it.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it had culture and tools and religion.
Right.
Just like T-Rex.
Yeah.
Just like
it had a
T-Rex.
3.4 billion bite force.
Yeah.
See, I think that I think that's what it must have said on the sale. It just hell is real.
Oh yeah.
On the sale.
No, it attracts mates.
The wages of sin is death. Which I was
Yes.
informed by a patron is a Bible verse. That goes to show you how much
Yes.
I know.
What?
I've read parts, but like, oh, okay.
For an animal from primarily the Bible Belt, this is strangely apt.
Sure.
I think it's my turn.
Is Texas in the Bible Belt? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if that's like
It's
just a
the bubble.
southern thing.
Oklahoma
All right.
certainly is.
My name is Dalton Meyer. I'm a PhD candidate at Yale University. And I also don't know much about Dimetrodon. So it's a very good thing we have our guest. Together,
We're the skeleton
We're the skeleton crew.
Plus one.
And
Plus one.
Yes.
That's one.
Yes. So, Dalton, why don't we release the animal?
Let's release the animal, indeed.
Release him from his mortal coil.
Release the beast.
Well, he's shuffling onto this mortal coil.
He's
Oh, he do be shuffling.
A lot of good colors in
immense, wide.
Those two are really good colors wise. I
I
love
like the
blue.
purple. Oh,
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
Dimetrodon without a colorful sail is an angel without his wings.
true.
And several of these do not have colorful sails.
And with
Yeah,
that,
there's a
they're
couple models in the
bastards.
game.
I do like the little muzzle though. Like the
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say, I really do like the front, like right off the bat, I like the Frontier designs way better than the Dominion one, even though I am a little bit of a sucker for a classic, like, kind of drab Dimetrodon with a bright red sail.
Yeah.
But
Do we have a Dominion color scheme here?
Yeah, it's right there on
That's
the
the
right.
orange one.
Yeah.
I stand
Right,
by
that's-
that Dominion stole this color scheme from Zoo Tycoon 2 because they are identical.
Oh my god, you're so right!
I don't remember Dimetrodon Zoo Tycoon
I-
2.
It was in the
Never
Extinct
played.
Animals expansion pack. This is where my years of Zoo Tycoon forum hell comes into play.
Well, wait, I would hope it was in the Extinct Animals expansion pack and not
No,
just, like,
see,
accidentally in the base game.
Yeah, no, I mean, at least not.
Holy you're right.
What antediluvian monster is this
So
as
what's
well?
strange
This is
Is that
It looks like a sock puppet.
it does, and we love our little
Yeah,
Muppet
it's-
boy. But it had to have been that the people who made the Fallen Kingdom maquette that's seen in the Lockwood Manor must have been fans of Zoo Tycoon 2, and for whatever reason, this specific color scheme has stuck with Jurassic World because they used it in Jurassic World Alive, the mobile game, and then it just manifested itself onto the silver screen, much to my chagrin.
holy. Okay, wait. Because the Zoo Tycoon one has like dark spots.
Yeah.
And then the Dominion one has osteoderms. Do you think that that's a misinterpretation of the patterning on this?
No, Scott,
Is why it has...
I don't actually think they copied a 12, 13-year-old game at this point. I think they were just unaware of what...
savage.
I apologize.
No, Scott,
You're my
I
best
don't
friend,
think that.
Scott. I love you.
He's fitting in so well.
Yeah.
He's already bullied me. Oh,
It's perfect.
wonderful.
Oh,
Someone get a
Nathan.
picture. You never forget your first time.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Nathan. Just that was so
No, it's okay.
Just-
I don't think it's an misinterpretation of this of the pattern seen in the Zoo Tycoon 2 one. I just think that it's the default Jurassic World design choice of let's put osteoderms on where it does not belong.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I stand corrected.
It's all right, Scott.
So what's its name mean?
So
At least your mother thinks you're an A.
brutal. So you may have noticed that
That Obama delivery. Brutal, anyway.
That's too much of a teeth.
so you may have noticed.
let me be clear.
Oh my
Oh, let me
god!
be clear. Sorry. Go ahead.
Please. You may have noticed that the name Dimetrodon is very similar to the name of another critter in this game, Dimorphodon. Have we done that animal? I don't remember.
No.
No, we haven't. Okay, so maybe you don't know what its name means. That's okay. That was unfair of me to make an assumption.
Do your
Dimetrodon.
homework.
Dimetrodon means 2 measures of teeth. On the other hand, Dimorphodon is 2 shapes of teeth. So the difference that's happening here is that in Dimetrodon, they have teeth of 2 different lengths. Specifically, they have these huge canines at the front of their mouth, like basically sabers. Dimorphodon does not have saber teeth, but it has 2 different shapes of teeth. So morpho meaning shape, metric being like to measure. So that's what the name means. And I'm not going to get into the species name because we don't believe that this is a real species. This is kind of a horrible amalgam of many of the species of Dimetrodon, of which there are truly very many.
13.
Wow.
But how many of them are real, Nathan?
Redacted. I can confidently say like 7 or 8.
That's still pretty good.
It is, yes. And it is, because Dimetrodon is incredibly speciose, because it is so variable. We're talking about an animal that can change from, not change, that has, we're talking about an animal that has a very wide size variation between the species, with the smallest species, the German Dimetrodon teutonus, being the size of basically of the cat in the background that I see here. So a house cat. To Dimetrodon angelensis, which is larger than I think the largest American alligator.
Goodness.
Now, Nathan, I have a query.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Are there Dimetrodon from the late Carboniferous or Dimetrodon like close relatives?
Yes, Dimetrodon does. The group that Dimetrodon belongs to, which is the Sphenacodonts, has members that belong in the early Permian, and then into the late Carboniferous. So you do, but Dimetrodon itself is pretty firmly at the very tail end of the early Permian.
Okay.
So you see, it's primarily Ophiaconodonts, which are like if you cut off Dimetrodon's sail and pulled its nose out, like in a cartoon, like in Super Mario 64 when you pull his nose. But they don't get their sails until the Permian, at least.
Okay. Well, so I ask because I know that there are Edaphosaurids, like within Edaphosauridae in the Carboniferous that have sails.
Yes.
So I was curious if there were like sailed late Carboniferous predators too. But
So there is Ophiaconodon, which is again just an absolute borzoi of an animal, does have a rudimentary sail in the fact that it has extended spines. So what makes up Dimetrodon's sail are an extension of that little kind of crest or process that you see off of a backbone. In Ophiachodon, it is extended more so than any of its other relatives, and has a distinct region at the end that is more similar to the bone texture that we see in Dimetrodon, both histologically and on the surface. So it's the start of a rudimentary sail. Oh, I love him. He's scratching. He's having such a good time.
Do you love him, though?
No, I hate him.
So, on the theme of that there's a bunch of species of these, they're all really, really different from each other. There's that kind of, like, I guess, for lack of a better term, a family photo of Dimetrodon on Wikipedia that, I'm not sure exactly how correct all of the reconstructions are, but it shows just the variation within this critter that, like, at least in my mind, when I think of fossil species or species of fossil animals, even ones that are really, really specious, things like Psittacosaurus, like, there isn't a Psittacosaurus that is like 12 times the size of all of the other Psittacosaurus and looks very, very different from the rest of them. It's like a lot of them are like, oh, they're a bit different in size. They're a bit spikier or less spiky. I don't know why I'm talking about it with authority on this, but because there's one here who's literally published on a new species of Psittacosaurus. But tell me if I'm off base on that, James.
Wait, what? About there being one that's way larger?
Jesus Christ.
Psittacosaurus.
I'm sorry, I was watching along the moonbeam trail.
James, you've missed the only time in recorded history anyone is going to talk about your work on Psittacosaurus.
There it is.
I'll tee that up again and give you the TLDR.
No, it's fine. I think I hear it. No, there's not a Psittacosaurus species that's like that much larger than anything else. There are a couple of Psittacosaurus species that are larger than other Psittacosaurus species, but we're not talking about a huge variation in size.
So you guys, non-dinosaurs can be cool too.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, no, they can.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Now let's. Now I think we should all tag ourselves here with this family portrait of Dimetrodon. Who are you right now? I think I'm Dimetrodon gigasomogenes.
Okay, hold on, I gotta pull it up again.
Is this in Messenger?
It's in Wikipedia.
You
It's on
stole my
Wikipedia.
favorite
You're gonna make
species,
me
James.
What'd you say? I took your favorite species?
You did. He's so funny looking.
You can also be Dimetrodon gigasomogenes.
No, I don't want to follow the crowd. I want to lead.
No, that's
Who's the
not how
dead
this
one?
works. That's not how
That's
tag
a purple.
yourself.
Tag myself.
It's tag yourself. That's not. Yeah.
I think
I'm the funny-looking guy just running around in a panic. The Dimetrodon teutonus, who's not happy with the situation he's in.
No.
Which subtab is this in?
This is
Oh,
the
there it is.
messenger.
This is species on Wikipedia.
Huh.
I think I'm the barely obscure Didaphosaurus that's getting eaten by
God,
the
well,
Dimetrodon.
I wanted that one.
I thought they were both Lumici because I thought there's some vague evidence of cannibalism in these things, right?
Has someone
There
taken
is
Teutonus?
no evidence
Oh, I thought they were cannibals.
for
Well,
cannibals. They are surprisingly polite, as I've found.
Has someone taken Teutonus?
Yeah, Nathan took Teutonus.
I know. Yeah.
I want to be a little guy. No one could
We're
be mad
just
at me.
little
you
guys.
can be a
in this
different
world
little
of
guy.
ninjas.
There's
One of the other
Natalis.
guys, yeah.
Yeah, Natalis is cute.
He's really well behaved.
It's not the.
His
He's
name
got the kind of
literally
smug look of
means
satisfaction.
two
you
measures
often
of teeth that looks like a baby.
That's
I like
amazing.
Grandis. Grandis is kind of fun.
Correct?
Hey, is this the color scheme of the game
It would not surprise me.
have.
on Grandis?
This art though has been is way older than Fallen Kingdom, I think.
I think putting
So,
spots
it could
on
work.
the sail is pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Sorry, I don't mean to be a little.
I think I'm Miller Eye.
Okay, that's I'll take Lumici. I didn't realize it was an Adaphosaurus at first, so I was gonna say you can decide which one of them I am because I feel like both at the moment.
It's okay. So did Cope. He thought they were the
It's
same animal too.
Oh,
Actually, I
We
revised.
continue our coke slander.
I'm revising to. Or did someone already claim Angolensis?
No.
No, you
Okay.
can have the big boy.
I'm taking him not
boy.
because he's big, but because of the profound look of discomfort on his face.
He's profoundly beautiful. We love him. He's cheeky, he's big, and the holotype skull is crushed to heck and back.
I will also say that I think it's interesting that because I guess I could be loyal to my institution and pick Millerai, because that Millerai reconstruction there is like traced from our skeletal mount.
Yeah.
Scott,
Yeah.
you must be loyal to your capo.
Did you manage to get the drop on him?
Anyway.
Every time I'm playing Helldivers 2, I'm just imagining Christopher Moltisanti trying to write Manouche Democracy. Check the Sopranos reference on your bingo card, everyone.
The same one from the last video.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I've got a question for you, Nathan.
I have an answer potentially.
I mean, I guess what I'm really wondering about is like Natalis and
small.
like what's the little one?
Teutonus.
The really little one?
Teutonus.
Teutonus. Like, how we are sure they're mature individuals.
Natalis has been histologically sampled, and it is fully mature histologically. And
Cool.
I have seen multiple humeri, femur, and ulna that are fully skeletally mature from a Natalis-sized specimen.
Okay,
Now,
so that's pretty cool.
metabolism-wise, like, are these guys like more like a Komodo dragon than they are like a mammal?
Yeah, kind of. Recently, there's been this fairly large shift in paleo art. I say recently; it's been going on since like the 2010s. To make Dimetrodon this very active predator, like running around upright, like a weird like mammal or something.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as we can tell, it's based on histology, which is, cutting up thin slices of bone, looking at how the underlying tissue is. It's a weird mix. It grows faster than its contemporaries, at least in the sail and in the limb bones, but it doesn't grow as fast as a mammal. So a varanid is a very good analog, I think, for its metabolism, at the very least, where it's faster than other reptiles, but not mammal, basically.
Okay, so Dalton, did Yasmina use?
So I was just pulling that up, Alex. It's funny that you mentioned
Okay.
that. So I'm looking at Yasmina's paper, and Dimetrodon's not sampled in that paper. The non-mammalian synapsid is Edaphosaurus, which has a pretty low metabolic
Okay.
rate, and that is inferred to be it looks to be similar to, if not even maybe a bit lower than the inferred state for amniotes, but there's not as big of a sample at that part of the tree, so I don't think the paper's certainly not trying to make a declarative statement one way or the other. It just does seem to be, though, that at least Edaphosaurus had a pretty low metabolic rate.
Yeah. We know it lays down more layers of bone annually than Edaphosaurus does, so it is at least growing faster than Edaphosaurus.
Interesting. And maybe, could that be because it's, I don't know, predatory, so maybe it's more
I
active?
think, yeah, that's not a bad idea. I think people underestimate Dimetrodon. It is genuinely one of the first large apex predators on land. And just because it's usually background fodder when it's shoved in with dinosaurs, but it is an animal that you would not want to run into, and every other animal in its environment would not want to run into or swim into.
I could take it.
I doubt that.
So do I.
Maybe the German species.
I was about to say, depends on which species.
He might have small dog energy. We could see just this nervous wreck that just wants everything dead.
Just
I'm an American.
trembling all
I
the
have
time.
there's a good precedent for
You
us
have a
handling the
good grasp,
German species.
I think you have an overinflated sense of how much, what kind of animals you could take in a fight.
Also, yes.
Well, hey, remember, in the Q&A a while ago, he said he could beat an Ankylosaurus.
Yeah, and I explain why, and I'm right.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
No, I did like his idea.
There's no way it's turning fast. Like, there's no way.
Well, just
I'm
watch
this
it.
big. I'm a little guy.
All agree we want to see him try. At least once.
Oh, I really want to see him try.
You get a cow, saw its legs off halfway, so it's about a foot off the ground, give it a big, long mechanical tail, but then rehabilitate it so it can walk around on them.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Man,
I think my chances are pretty good.
I think we have a deal here.
Protocol.
Thank you.
So yeah, we mentioned earlier that this is a horrible hybrid and does not represent an actual species.
Mm-hmm.
So I might as well go into why that is. So Dimetrodon, it has a lot of fun ways, and by fun I mean 1940s ways of diagnosing species. And the biggest one is size and stratigraphic horizon, so where it's found and how big it is compared to the other Dimetrodon, which never leads to confusion.
We love it,
down the
folks.
line. We love it. We love it. We love it here. But that raises the question, so do they all look the same? And the answer is no. The biggest changes that you see are in skull shape, tooth count, and sail shape, funnily enough. In terms of what we're seeing on the model itself, you're seeing a pretty even like a pretty normal curve for the sail. Normal in the statistical sense, not for it being non-deformed, which is pretty characteristic of the type species Dimetrodon limbatus. Size-wise, it in the film is probably trying to represent the second largest, which is Dimetrodon grandis from Texas. And the head is one of the worst things of this model. It is a strange hybrid of the type species Dimetrodon limbatus if you squished it with a big hammer and then got rid of its notch to make it look like Dimetrodon natalis. It is a design.
It looks like they almost want to give it a notch. Like,
It's
Dalton,
an implied notch.
Could you engage pervert cam when one of them's open?
Let me let this guy into the sun a little bit.
I said do that, and then do it on a Jurassic World one too, because I do wonder if Frontier was trying to like do the thing where they do sometimes, where they kind of try to save the design with patterns and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, here's a Frontier one, and I'm gonna also just pull up on my other monitor.
It does appear like they're attempting to make the its eyes.
I don't like. That's what I was just looking at. I don't like
Oh my
the eye at all.
god, I
so
dislike
big.
that.
I don't get it. Like, Dimetrodon is an ugly, ugly animal, and I say that with love. It has these little tiny eyes. They're at the top of its skull, like they've been pushed away back in the head, and I don't like that. It makes it look like a bull terrier. If you've ever seen one of those, like Spuds McKenzie.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. But yeah, it looks like there is some sort of expansion in the maxilla as opposed to the premax. And like it's not to the level of what it should be for Dimetrodon. It almost it reminds me of like the air quotes notch that they tried to give like
Dilophosaurus.
baryonyx and stuff.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind if it didn't have the notch visible. End of the day, it probably wouldn't be visible in life unless it was opening its mouth constantly, because these things probably had full lips. This isn't dinosaur territory, we can say that.
We can say it in dinosaur territory too.
Fair enough. But it is important because the notch is not present in every species. And it's when it is present, it's very distinct. It's a very large gap, and we have no idea why it's there. But it's basically after the canine teeth, there's usually one or two teeth in front of it, and then there's no teeth, and then it's the little pre-canines would be the term. So it is odd that they foregoed this interesting feature when usually it's exaggerating features in a Jurassic World design.
Well, it's not unlike what they did for Dilophosaurus back in the original Jurassic Park, right? Like they really have a tendency to T-Rexify all the heads.
They do.
Yeah. That's what they did for this thing. They dinosaured the head.
Yeah.
So
and they made it so wide.
They really did.
So the front of the face, it's way too wide. Yeah. But the back of the head in Dimetrodon is a lot wider than people give it credit for.
No, but I'm responding to the nose, like which just feels like
it's got a bulbous nose.
It's cinder block shaped.
Brody, it's more like a casid than a spinacodon. So like Cotilorhynchus, where they have these huge nares.
I don't want to think about Cotilorhynchus here.
Well, so I have a question.
Yes.
While we're zoomed in on this critter so much, what? And it yells with its mouth closed. What do we know about any sort of integument on these guys? Because they've kind of given it like a halfway between scales and wrinkled skin.
Right.
Actually, no, they've just given it scales. Never mind.
So that is something I will give this game credit and the Jurassic World designers credit. Dimetrodon relatively is a very basal synapsid. So it's likely more similar to the basal amniote condition. The only integument that we really have for a Dimetrodon analog comes from two places. The first is there is a belly print, funnily enough, I believe from Poland, of Dimetropus, which is an ichnotaxa. And it shows these really neat, pretty regular belly scoots. They're about, I don't know, like the size of like a Triscuit or something. I'm trying to think of. So they're large and chunky, right?
Oh,
what is?
hold on.
Oh my god!
They're snuggling. Oh
welcome up.
You know
no!
what?
Oh, that was wonderful.
And he stepped on his head.
That
Oh
animation,
my God.
So inconsiderate.
that animation
Goodness.
combined with the coloration of the face with like this white patch and kind of darker lips, and just the way it's constructed is major Walking with Dinosaurs Cynodont vibes.
Why would you
Yes.
say that? That's
Oh
never-
my gosh. Yes. Oh wow.
But the other.
So, go on. Yes.
Yes.
Belly print and
So
stuff.
we have belly scoots. That is the only definitive sphenacodont integument that we have. But we can always do the fun thing and look at close relatives, or so we think. The closest traditionally to Dimetrodon's little group is these little amniotes, I'll call them, called varanipids. Which are not to be confused with varanids, which are lizards. They are this weird little group of what's traditionally been considered basal synapsids. And we have these really lovely, like volcanic fossil, like flash fossilized Lagerstätten fossils of these little animals. I think it's called Ascendamanus, which means ascending hand, because it's hypothesis to be a boreal, but the whole thing's covered in these amazing, like, squamate-like scales, but non-overlapping. The issue comes with varanipids. They've been heavily debated whether they're synapsids, basal amniotes, relative closer to other reptiles, and they tend to bounce around a lot because they're really basal, and that happens. But it's honestly the best guess to scale your Dimetrodon. Don't leave him naked, please.
So what are you?
Oh, sorry.
What are your opinions on some more speculative paleo art giving them whiskers and fur stuff?
I think that it's fine to have artistic interpretation, but if you are trying to make a rigorous reconstruction, I should not see a single hair on him. The earliest
Shave this
evidence
man.
of hair we have in the fossil record for synapsids, I believe, is a single late Permian coprolite, which has potential hair imprints.
Yeah.
And then the only
Wait,
osteological...
like the hair, like it was hair that was eaten, or there's?
Yes.
Are we talking about imprints from a very hairy?
No, this was a clean
Jesus.
shaven. No, it is feces, I believe, that's now lost, unfortunately, which is great. I could be wrong about that, but it is feces where there was hair in it once, and it's left canals that look like hair.
Interesting.
I've also
Real.
definitely heard from some colleagues like big asterisk next to that, like
Yeah.
evidence of hair in the coprolite
Even
thing.
if we go up the tree a bit more to other synapsids, like previously featured on the channel Lystrosaurus, we recently have had some fantastic mummies come out of South Africa, and those don't show a single hair and are covered in gross toad, bumpy skin without scales. So
oh God,
it is
really?
disgusting It is so
Yeah.
gross,
Yeah.
Scott, and I want you to go look at it. Because keeping in mind it's desiccated, but it looks like those like if you've ever gone on a road trip and you see these like opossums or raccoons that have been out in the sun for too long on the side of the road. That's what this thing looks like. It's disgusting. We love Dicynodonts. They're a fantastic animal with no flaw.
Oh God, that's heinous.
It's heinous.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
So I have a question that
Yes.
arises from this. So the scales that we find in Varanopids and potentially Ophiachodonts, or Sphenacodonts, I should say.
Yeah.
Do we have any indication of the structure of the scales beyond them being scales? Because obviously, and you know this, but our viewers may not, like beta keratins that are used to create like sauropsid scales appear to be synapomorphic of sauropsids. And so, like, there's presumably some sort of non-homology here in terms of what the scaly covering is.
I
Is that
do not
known?
know.
Okay.
There's been no further study on that specimen. I think they just don't want us to cut it up because it's so dang pretty.
Well, right, yeah.
But I would not be surprised if there is they're not squamate scales. They just
Well, right, of
really,
course
really
not.
look like them.
That's the squam of squamata.
Yeah.
So like, we know that like early amphibian relatives are scaled,
Yep.
and so are a bunch of reptilomorphs, right?
So it's probably safe to assume that the
Whatever that is.
split of synapsid sauropsid was probably
Yeah,
scaled.
some kind of alpha keratin scales.
And then like the earliest evidence for any kind of like hair structure is in like
The very oldest is
derived cynodonts, right?
Something other. Cynodonts, yes. Cynodonts were probably hairy. I think they have
Okay.
osteological correlates for whiskers, but I may be misquoting. But I think the actual earliest fur fossil we have is from the Jurassic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a docodont.
yeah, one of those heinous little critters. Yeah.
I think it might be Castricata. I think it might be the weird beaver
That
one.
is it.
Oh, really?
The horrible
Yeah,
little
it's-
beaver monster.
The
He's
Jurassic
charming.
beaver.
I think
I like him.
Castricata also has, I think, venomous spines on its feet, like a platypus.
Shut up. I
You know
like
what?
him less.
Why not? Let's add venomous
I'm not sure.
spines and
Someone check that,
wings
but I'm pretty sure.
and fire breathing maybe.
Yes.
And tactical karate chopping action.
It lived, I think there were 3 different clades of gliding, like, mammalomorph that lived with
Yeah.
it too in the
Oh, yeah.
Middle Jurassic. Lot going on in that Middle Jurassic. Seems like a lot of important stuff's happening.
It could be something important. We'll never know. There's not enough fossils.
Nope.
Yeah, no, it does
Yet.
have a spur. What the
Yeah, that's so cool.
Are you kidding me?
I think it's a
Give
pretty
mammals
widely
to take a
distributed
mile.
feature amongst like early diverging mammals, like outside of
I want a venomous spur.
marsupials.
All right, there, blessed
Therians.
fade.
Look, you
Yeah.
either give live birth or you get a spur.
Yeah,
You want to lay eggs?
Oh, we chose the wrong way.
which way?
Hey, you sound like a Republican politician.
Now look here. I know we've had a rough year, but you can either pick venomous spur or your nipples. That is the trade-off when you become a monotreme.
My large nephew has replaced his nipples with a seamless track that oozes Mountain Dew products.
God bless this beautiful country. God bless Monotremata.
I was about to say, like, listen, if you want the spur, you need to understand you will leak milk from all over your skin. Make an informed decision.
Hey, Ma, I gotta do laundry. I got the milk sweat.
Now you may obtain electroreceptors, but you will be.
You
oozing.
must excuse. Oh,
Hey, I can detect electricity just fine. When I put the fork in the outlet, I can tell that it's there.
you must excuse. Mr. Trump, you must excuse my nephew. He has yet to emerge from laying his eggs, and his low metabolic rates do not permit him to be out in the cool summer mornings. He is also ornery and will jab you with the spine if you surprise him.
The pain is
I say that
indescribable.
boy's brain is as smooth as a grape in Vaseline.
Do they also have pouches, right? Dalton and I were talking about, like, monotremes
I
have,
thought you
like,
meant
pouches,
Dimetrodon.
right?
No, they don't. I don't think they do.
They have epipubic bones, right?
Epipubic bones don't support the pouch.
No.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah. No, this is a common misconception.
Thank you.
Yeah, right. Marsupials and monotremes have these bones called epipubic bones that project out from the pubic bones and kind of project forward. They anchor the abdominal wall. Like they're extra attachment for like oblique muscles, abdominal muscles, and all of that. It was often, I think it was a truism because people were like, look, the marsupials have pouches and they've got these extra bones in the belly. That must anchor the pouch. But no, it's the same kind of fun fact of like when I was a child, I was told women have more ribs women have more ribs than men, which I remember getting embarrassingly late
I've
in
heard
my
that
education
too.
and being like, wait, that's bull.
James, did you hear this at Sunday school by chance?
I have literally never heard that.
I've heard this too. Is kind of like
because
just
Adam gave him the
wives.
rib.
That's the thing. I have heard it as like a backwards explanation of that. Like it is true that most women have an extra set of ribs than men do, and that's where we get the story of Adam giving a rib to make Eve in the Bible.
Well, as I'm sure many viewers of our channel know, but for those who don't, the original Hebrew word apparently translates only to bony part. And some people have also said that this could be a reference to the fact that humans do not have bacula. Which
I've never thought of. That's really cool.
I don't know that the people who were writing that were informed enough about comparative anatomy of mammals to realize.
Wait, hold on. Sorry.
And
that implies like the version that implies where it's like, oh, you know, this was used to explain why like women had more ribs than men. Like, is the implication there that like 5,000 years ago people were just like just there were women's skeletons everywhere?
Yeah.
I'm like, sure is weird that they have more ribs.
It's an amazing kind of scientific truism I hear a lot too, because I remember also hearing at that time, I don't remember where, but that women have extra ribs. This is the root of that story in the Bible. The extra rib like protects the baby during pregnancy. And like
I never heard that bit.
The baby gets carried under the rib cage. The baby should not be going up into the rib cage. That can happen.
I want to be crystal clear to our viewers at this moment because I feel like we've not maybe been clear enough. This is not true in any sense.
This is fake.
No.
For the
False.
Like when you take typically
It's not real.
If you are fortunate enough to take a human gross anatomy class and do a dissection, there is at least one woman and one man cadaver in the room. You are welcome to look at both of them because you need to learn the anatomy as a student in this class. I looked at both. There's the same number. That was not the difference.
What I have learned, and what I was not aware, is actually relating to the epipubic bones, because I have also heard it invoked that they support the pouch, and I guess when I heard that I was like, yeah, it makes sense. And then as I thought about it, I'm like, I don't really know how they would do that. Like, it's not like they go out to like make a like basket of skin outside of the body. No, but
Like a basketball hoop.
At least one idea that I see put out here is that it's not so much that marsupials have them to like support the pouch, but more that placentals lose them because it would inhibit the ability of the fetus to grow in the abdominal cavity if there's just two big bones sticking up in there.
It's on the pubis. I might be stupid here, but like, is that something that mammals get, or is that like I know
it's a mammal thing.
Sometimes like
Which thing? The epipubic bones?
Yeah.
Oh, they're extra bones.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're literally.
Okay.
Yeah, they're pretty. I think they're pretty early. I think they're like mammaliforms that have them too.
I'm just asking because, like, at least like some mosasaurs have a tubercle, and I was wondering if it was related to that. But no, okay.
Probably not. No, there apparently is considered synapomorphic of mammaliforms at the present.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, there's a lot of these weird misconceptions about anatomy. I mean, like, this is not only do women not have one more rib, it's also actually quite difficult to tell a woman's skeleton apart from a man's, because biological sex doesn't work that way. And well, right, you can get, if you have the most narrow pelvis male and the most wide-hipped woman, you might be able to be like, yeah, that looks like the textbook drawings. Doesn't really work that way. It's hard to do.
Like the tails of each bell curve. Yeah, you can work with that, but the averages are very much together.
There's a lot of overlap.
Right.
It's the same thing with height. Like, think about height. Like, there are tall women and short men, even if the averages are opposite.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's variation. That's how, you know.
And the extremes of both sides of the bell curve in both of the examples you gave are prominent features in the character creator of Ark Survival Evolved.
Yes.
I thought it would have been a funnier joke if you said something to the effect of "are represented in the skeleton crew," but I'm not particularly.
Thank you.
No,
we know who it's about.
No.
Who's it about?
I also.
We need to get back to Dimetrodon.
Yes.
We do.
Speaking of hard to tell skeletons apart, people have suggested a lot of functions for the sail, including sexual display. As far as I can tell, we don't know yet. They come out, if it was a sexual display, you'd expect differences in the height or shape in the species, in a variation. Like a peacock, only the males have the fan, and the females don't. Do we see that in Dimetrodon? Not to my knowledge. So that
they're all boys.
It's a boys' club.
They're all boys.
No,
First record of parthenogenic males.
Yeah. No. The main thing people have suggested about the sail is that it's a thermal window. So it's letting the animal warm up faster and cool down faster, depending on how it's angled with the wind. That is a fine enough theory, but unfortunately, if the little Dimetrodon got caught in the wind, they would freeze to death because the thermal exchange for their poor little bodies would be too much, and they would die.
Poor baby. A storm whips up in Permian Germany, and all of the little Dimetrodon are just dying and rolling around like
they hug each
tumbleweeds.
other and then they glide off to safety.
Have you considered that there was never wind in the Permian?
Oh,
it's new.
No.
Wind is new.
Yeah.
A single tourist with a cooling mist fan.
Just dropping them like iguanas in Florida.
The entire species. You go out big game hunting. Like, what do you got? I've got a water gun.
Well, you already got a big target on its back. You know, there's not much sport to it anyways.
Oh my goodness.
Oh God. Sorry, go ahead, Nathan.
But as I was saying, and when you look closer at the surface anatomy of the spines themselves, they're not particularly vascular like you expect to see in other thermal display, in other thermal windows. And it's odd. Primarily just because they're not display, and so the question is it an age thing? How do you tell if a Dimetrodon's old or young? Are the babies coming out without sails and looking like little lizards? Fun fact, they're not. There is a beautiful little Dimetrodon baby who is tiny, and he's skeletally very immature. His bones are very smooth. And he has a full-size sail. So these things are likely coming out of the egg with a sail.
How? What?
They're sawing. They're using it like a buzzsaw. They spin really fast, and then it cuts their way out of the egg.
So that's fun because it can let me segue. The Dimetrodon sail, based on histo, is genuinely a biomechanical marvel. It seems to be very, very good at repairing itself. and keeping itself in place. We have several Dimetrodon specimens, where it seems like the sail's kind of broken in half, at least at the midpoint, and it's held itself together and then has completely healed. So the outer cortex of the bone is completely non-noticeable, but as soon as you cut it open or scan it, it looks like a mess inside, which is incredible. So basically, this whole thing is working as a living cast for itself, where the ligaments of there are ligaments between the sail that hold it all together, and that's a long story to say. I think they just came out soft and then stiffened up.
That's basically what, granted they're born live, but what hedgehogs and stuff do, with their spines. They do have them.
Yeah. So it's fascinating to me because, I actually, on one of my road trips with our postdoc, Peter Bishop, we got talking about Dimetrodon, and I remember just because we were driving up to Nova Scotia and back, it was a very long time. And while I am good at filling a lot of time in a car with talk.
Yes, you are.
Really
Thank
good
you,
at that. We started to run short on some topics after a while. And I remember just kind of waxing poetic at one point of just why is it that there's always these debates? I think it was near when the Amargasaurus paper came out of just did they have spikes or was it two parallel sails? And I was just why is it that no one's ever argued about that with Dimetrodon? And Peter told me that story of just oh no, there's pathologic ones that the only way that injury could have been healed is if the spines were encased in soft tissue.
Yes.
Also, animals generally don't have gigantic sections of exposed bone.
Yeah.
I'm just
deer
kind of always
excluded.
Well, but I mean, deer antlers are very expensive.
No.
Yeah.
That wasn't me making a joke. That was
Scott, I actually think the deer antlers were encased in a membrane of soft tissue.
So moose just were
There's
running
a big
around with
fat
just
head.
hands.
Well, actually, just like a Margosaurus, there's a giant inflatable air sac in the middle of them that the
They fly away to moose land.
Yeah.
Right.
This one looks like a nacho Dorito, the one that's on screen right now.
One of the things that's always kind of fascinated me about the discussion of the sail and Dimetrodon is that whenever it's been brought up, similar structures have been brought up in other prehistoric critters, namely Spinosaurus, or even to an extent the plates of stegosaurs. One of the things that's always kind of sunk the thermoregulation interpretation for me is that you would expect that if it was made for this utilitarian, if this structure was evolved for this relatively utilitarian purpose, that there would be a high degree of convergence on that structure, that all stegosaur plates would look almost identical, and they don't. Or that a lot of large Spinosaurids had sails that looked just like Spinosaurus, and they don't. So that has always kind of sunk that for those interpretations for me specifically. But then we look at Dimetrodon and it's it's a thermoregulation thing. And it's just well, there's a lot of other sail-backed critters that were either in close relatives of Dimetrodon or not even that close relatives of Dimetrodon that were living in the same ecosystem. Edaphosaurus, that correct me if I'm wrong, it's not super closely related to Dimetrodon. It just looks
It is the closest it is closer to Dimetrodon than stuff like Cotylarhynchus is.
But it's not sister.
It's not sister. It used to be, though.
Yeah, and they all have incredibly similar sail shapes. They're not one of them's an M shape, one of them is just a little fin we see on why am I forgetting its name, the shark fin dino that we talked about from Spain. Concavenator. They're all relatively similar. I mean, sure, Edaphosaurus does weird stuff of having the strange pegs that grow out of the side.
Pegs.
Yes, the asymmetrical pegs that don't follow a specific pattern and stuff. They're so weird. They're like thumbprints. It's very, very weird. What the hell were they doing?
Correct.
God, I just want to real quick. God, a Dilophosaurus is so weird. If you
It's
next
so
time you go
bad.
to a museum, if they have an Dilophosaurus there, look in its mouth.
Yeah.
We do.
What was it doing?
It's called
Holy
lizard for a reason.
Yeah,
I-
yeah.
I believe it was at KU. I think it was the part of the visit where like I kind of have some free time, so I'm opening drawers to see if there's anything cool. And I made the mistake of opening the Dilophosaurus drawer, and it was a pavement of palatal teeth, which is something.
Cool.
It's something we didn't actually talk about in Dimetrodon, but these guys do have palatal teeth, and they have two different kinds, and they're both horrible. They have up front like a cobblestone pavement of little pebble teeth, and then in the back they have like these rakes. Basically, they have a straight line
Yep.
of it's bad. It's bad, folks.
I did not know this.
Ooh, it's
Yes.
bad.
And it's variable within the species.
Bad.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But anyway, to return to your point about Dilophosaurus, just has the worst pavement.
Yeah, but I guess that kind of dovetails into a question for you, Nathan. Like, basically, gestures vaguely at the Pelycosaurus-shaped things. What? Why?
Despite you.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Sorry, are you asking like why they all evolved sails at the same time?
Yeah, what the hell is going on with this weird convergence or shared ancestry? But it seems
I thought it
convergence.
was. Is it convergence?
It's convergence.
Yeah.
It is
Um,
convergence.
Yeah.
there also a little
Dilophosaurus-
tennis bundle?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see it in well, that's different. Platyhystrix, it's not just expanded neural spines. It's a fusion of expanded osteoderms to the neural spines to form one long element.
Shut up. What?
Dreadful.
Huttenlocker et al. Yeah, there was a recent histo of it.
That's so cool.
It's
The
so
spine
gross,
was-
and I love him.
The sail was made
Him.
from the outside in.
It's made
What
from
the
both, yeah.
hell?
So I think that really says we're not seeing what we are seeing is we're seeing similar structures made in different ways, and in that way we might not be seeing that they have different functions. Like the way Dimetrodon uses a sail might be is probably pretty different from how a Dilophosaurus did, and how Platyhystrix did, and how Spinosaurus did. I think that's just a matter of these things it might be literally neural spines are really easy to grow long. People and the evolution keeps doing it because it's really easy to make a display feature.
It was a fad.
It's
and
a
we've
fad.
we've made jokes about fads before, but like
It is
the sudden growth of midline cranial crests and a bunch of theropods in the early mid Jurassic, which then goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Probably
then
something interesting happening.
sails in Tyrannosaurus and
The
Spinosaurus.
first
like,
evidence of fast fashion in the fossil record.
It is. I do want to say, at risk of making this video too long, there's one thing I want to say to Scott. I see your argument about why these would not be like functionally relevant. If they're all serving the same function, they'd all be the same. Not necessarily, right? Like you can have convergence of function through different forms.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think like you certainly don't get that even in groups where you do have differences in the structure, but they are all used in the same way. Like most deer use their antlers in intraspecific combat, but deer antler growth patterns are like highly specific to the individual deer.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, well, I see what you're saying. And I also agree with you. I think like, I don't see a real good mechanical role for these things. But I don't think it's exactly fair to say that like if they were all serving the same function, they would look the same as each other. Because like we have enough examples from the modern day where that's not really the case.
They might
That's
not look the same, but I think the point is more so that they would have they'd be impacted in a similar way.
Yeah.
Like they'd be interacting with the soft tissue or something else in a certain way that would leave it, even if they're built different on the inside, that they'd be kind of impacted in a similar way. If that makes sense.
I do genuinely mean that like when it comes to it's specifically thermoregulation purposes that like just a shape like that would be like something that maximizes surface area while minimizing volume would be and for like the purpose of either warming up or cooling down would be something that is just kind of reached from efficiency. But I guess I could just be off base on that, and I could just be misunderstanding how that works or the forces that drive.
I think so. Wait. Let me make sure I'm understanding correctly. So, like, you think that they'd reach efficiency?
They would reach something that is close to efficient. They would be converging on a same shape because that is the shape that works the best for this.
You would think, but I raise you botany and rubisco.
I would raise you. This is a vertebrate
plant.
It doesn't matter. It's the concept of convergence. It doesn't matter if it's efficient. What matters is does it work, and does it work well enough to be inherited. So, like, I see your point, but it's like, there's no reason that they should ultimately wind up at the most efficient they could be.
Things are getting
that's also not strictly true, though, Amelia. I don't think this is a debate. No, this is an argument and a bone I have to pick with a lot of the Evo bio world. The usual distillation of like adaptation just has to work well enough, and therefore we won't see optimization. It is a truism I see a lot in like, well, all it has to do is be good enough for you to survive, and therefore you won't get efficiency. Like, over evolutionary timescales, you do tend to see optimization towards these peaks. And like,
I want to clarify, I wasn't saying it literally. I know what you're saying, and I've heard that as well. And it's the way that I do explain sometimes to the public, because the problem with how evolution is taught, at least in the US, is survival of the fittest. And so the best way I have found to combat that is to phrase it that way, where it's like, actually, it doesn't have to be the best of the best of the best. So I understand in real science and real biology, obviously the whole point, not point, but like kind of what happens is, necessarily these things do tend to get more efficient over time, but they're still limited by whatever constraints are present. So in the case of, so rubisco it's a really important component of photosynthesis in plants. It's not very efficient. It like wastes a bunch of energy, basically. Not literally. I'm misremembering the details, but the gist is that it wastes a lot of resource, whatever the resource is. I forget if it's like energy or whatever. It's basically if it accidentally binds like oxygen instead of carbon dioxide or something, it just wastes a bunch of energy. However, like majority of plants today have rubisco, and it's incorporated into this process that you use all the time. And obviously, like if there were such thing as intelligent design or something like that, you'd think that a protein like this, an inefficient system like this, would never happen, or that it would be evolved out if evolution had like a direction and a purpose, so to speak. But like with things like rubisco, with things like I mean, honestly, even
Dimetrodon is proof God does not exist.
No, not necessarily. But with structures like the sail and proteins and enzymes like rubisco and things like this that are just kind of not actually perfect, not actually as efficient as they could potentially be. Doesn't mean they won't get more efficient as time goes on. It just means like if you were a designer for a game or a movie or whatever, making a creature, it is not necessarily the kind of thing that you would put into your design, because you are trying to make, X, Y, and Z happen. Does that make sense?
I think it makes sense. I see Scott's point of like, but I also I would raise Scott this point, which is that I think that a gigantic, really thin structure is pretty much as close as you could get to optimal for like thermoregulation anyway, if you were doing that. Like, as Nathan said, like one of the arguments against this, or maybe I misinterpreted what you said, but like maybe one of the arguments against this happening is A, like the vascularization doesn't seem to be there in the bones, but B, like if that's the case, you'd probably just kill all the babies.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Because it is a really effective shape for that.
No, that's fair, and like I'll just wrap this up and we'll get off of this and move on.
No more Saileontology.
That was good, because it was more of like that. I guess when it came to other critters, like, again, Spinosaurus and Stegosaurus and like that you would expect that, like, oh, it's because they're big, they need to like lose body heat more efficiently and stuff. And it was just like, oh, there's other ones that are close to as big and they apparently don't have that issue. What the hell's going on with that?
Well,
I don't know. It. Like,
no,
whatever.
I see what you're saying. No. Like, and to be clear, I also, like, I don't think this was a thermoregulatory structure. I'm just like, and like the fact that you can have basically the same shape of animal with no sail, and it was apparently also able to be alive, is probably a good argument that you don't need this, right?
Yes, and I will say that, like, you guys have basically like put the point that I was making to bed, and like rightfully so. Like, that was the reason why I wanted to bring it up, was the whole point of, like, the tiny ones and the babies and all of that sort of stuff. That, like, if you were expecting this to be a thermoregulatory thing, it would be like the smaller ones would have less or no sail. They would develop a sail when they grew up. Stuff like that.
Right. And I mean, the one thing I would say is I would be surprised if this did not to some degree affect the thermoregulatory strategies of these animals. Like,
I don't think it can not. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, like, you know, whenever, like, I hear, I don't know, I've always found the more interesting thing than, like, what is the function of, like, the head crest in this dinosaur? I'm like, I don't know, I find the more interesting thing, how the hell did it have that? Like, what did that do to the rest of its body? But regardless, good sail talk. Lots of good talk about adaptation.
Great sail.
It's our sales pitch.
The last thing I want to say about the sail is just, like, we can't know what color they were. Like, maybe it was literally a
They were
giant
bright,
billboard.
hot pink. This is a certified American fact true for American patriots.
If it was truly an American patriot, it'd be red, white, and blue.
God bless this country.
Maybe it was.
This fact has been
Ladies and gentlemen. Sorry.
this fact has been verified by true American patriots.
No. Anyway, just the point being, like, we don't, to my knowledge, have pigment for these things. We likely, with the exception of, like, an astoundingly cool mummy, it's impossible to know what color the sails were if they were doing something, like,
Give
totally
me a mummy,
different.
please.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It's impossible to know, but it's, like, it's still an option. It's not like that it's impossible. Like, just because the sail is present as babies just because the sails are present on the babies doesn't mean that the color was, for example, or other, you know, aspects of the thing that could have grown in later. But yeah, I think we've talked enough about it now.
I think so too.
I got, yeah, man.
You're talking,
Sorry.
yeah, Alex is transforming into Boomhauer before our eyes. Help
This
us.
is the Texas animal.
It is a Texas animal.
Texarkana.
And on
Well,
that,
well.
Uh,
Speaking of where it was,
Yes.
this thing sure does like to be in the water in these animations, doesn't
Sure
it?
does.
Yes, that is the one thing I will give Frontier, is good job for giving it a really high water need, because these things were found basically, with the exception of the German species, in these very fluvial, like wetland, swamp, bayou environments. Lots of floodplains, lots of swamp, more water all the time. And we know this because
They're found with wet
yes,
animals.
they're found with wet, slippery fellas. Lots of amphibians, lots of fish, and even sharks. In fact, I'll have to find a picture if I can, but there is a shark fin spine with Dimetrodon teeth embedded in it that was described by Robert Bacher, I believe.
cool.
And it was not limited to sharks. It basically ate everything wet, including its favorite snack, Diplocaulus.
Diplocaulus. You may remember
Right.
Diplocaulus as the animal I said I would want to have as a pet, probably in 2 or 3 Q&As, because it's a question we get a lot. I have a 3D print of a Diplocaulus. This is a specimen at the Whiteside Museum of Natural History in Seymour, Texas, which is an incredible little museum run by very, very nice people, very great people. They had a festival of sorts, a Permian Fest, a year or 2 ago, that I got to speak at, and it was a great time. And I'm looking forward to when they host it again, I believe next spring. But anyways, while I was there, we got to check out their collections, and they work some of the original quarries in that area that were worked by
Romer.
Romer and Case and So they've got an extensive collection of Permian creatures. Of course, a lot of them are Dimetrodon. They've got like beautiful skull on display. It's a composite of, I think the jaw is one animal and the skull is another. But it's phenomenal. I'll send a picture so we can flash it up here because it's something else. But among the fossils that they showed us this man that I have here that's been 3D printed. But they also showed me another one of these. It's really sad. His whole face is bitten off, and
The bite of 87.
but it's very sad. But it's like these guys. So basically, what was happening is these things are probably living in burrows, and Dimetrodon was just evicting them. You know, like very very sad. But you know, such is the way of things.
It sucks to be little and delicious when Dimetrodon is hungry.
Yeah.
Yep, such is life.
Should we rank this?
I think we should.
Let's
I
rank
think
this.
so. Let's get out of here. Ugh.
Vile.
Yeah, we're gonna get a different color. Don't worry.
Fetid animal.
What's going on in the world today? People fighting, feuding, loot. Okay, let the good time show. Tell them, Jerry.
Ooh. It's an Nacho one. Hello, thank you.
Fetid animal.
That's a
Yeah,
good
the
one.
colors are nice. The pattern helps it.
That one's fun.
Yeah. I wish you could make it look like the old Kenner toy from the original JP toy line, but that's neither here nor there. So if this was a normal Dimetrodon, I would give it a S plus 2 billion tier. I'm not biased. We would have to erect a new tier. And there's a cat here. Hello, cat.
Amelia, does he get a vote?
Who?
You don't get a vote.
Vito?
Nathan.
Nathan.
Yeah, Vito gets a vote. I don't.
You don't get a vote.
Yeah.
You'll throw off our algorithm.
Yeah, it'll look up
We need a
the
tiebreaker.
calculation.
Yes.
Animalist may unsubscribe from the Patreon. Like,
We can't
that's it.
afford that.
No, we can't.
You do get cat though.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
being very friendly.
Oh, baby.
You can finish your thought though.
Yes. I don't want to influence the voters, though.
Yeah.
Influence away, I think.
So.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Yeah.
We're here for your expert
Yeah,
opinions.
I give it a 7 out of 2 billion, probably. But
Oh my, that's low.
All
Pretty
right.
low.
it's a good there's a good curve on the exam. Don't worry. No, it's fine. It's a monstrified Dimetrodon. What are you gonna do? I don't lose sleep over it.
So Amelia, what do you say?
I think it's ugly. I think it doesn't capture the parts of the animal that I think are cool, really. Like the sail is neat, but whatever. Been there, done that with Spinosaurus. I think the skull itself, like to get like the weird narrow snout, the big fangs, like all that kind of cool stuff. I wish it would have captured that more. I also really hate the osteoderms. Astute viewers may know that in the past I have been ambivalent about the mosasaur osteoderms. That's a different situation, which I'll get to whenever we get to that animal. In this case, like, they're so obvious and gross and out of place that they drive me nuts. I don't like the feet at all. I don't care how accurate they are. They look like gloves. I don't know if the tail is supposed to be that long, but
It is not.
I don't care. The vibes are off, like it feels wrong. And I know it's not as short as it used to be, but it just looks wrong. The colors are great, unfortunately. There are a couple colors that just are really, really nice. And I don't believe I knew it was in the movie before we went to see it, because I don't think it was in any of the trailers. So, like, that whole thing came as a surprise to me, at least. I remember being surprised by it. And it was very dumb. But I had a lot of fun. I will defend Dominion as a dumb, fun movie. I don't care. And that scene in particular, I'm like, oh, this is goofy and different, and those are clearly made of plastic, which makes me happy. So, because I like practical effects. All this is to say, I will give it a C. It's not disgusting. I don't think. And I'm happy that it's here, and I like the colors.
All right. Echoing what Amelia said, the osteoderms are gross. They look like, you know, the thing that quack doctors do where they put hot cups on your skin?
Oh,
And
cupping.
then-
Yeah, cupping.
Yeah, you get cupped. Is that really what it's called? It's that uncreative?
It's called cupping.
Yeah.
It's called cupping? Well, it looks like somebody did that to this whole poor animal.
Poor baby boy.
Look at what they did to my... Anyway, I don't like that look. It looks like it's covered in, like, a scarring or something. I don't even like that. Like, while I like Dimetrodon as an animal, I feel like it's a very weird choice for these movies. Like, it's such a kind of... I think Jurassic Park did so much with very, like, kind of fast, active animals and trying to popularize that I think putting in, like, what's essentially kind of like a lumbering big lizard into the movie felt like almost like... That whole sequence to me felt...
Regressive?
Almost regressive, but not even regressive. Just, like, it doesn't really fit the vibe of the kind of movies. Like, if they want to go for a non-dinosaur, I would have loved to see, like, a Gorgonopsian or something like that, which I think they could have made, like, terrifying. These just kind of felt like you were on a ride in an amusement park where things are, like, popping out of the wall and they have their mouth open, which is essentially what that scene was. Unlike
Basically.
Amelia, while my memories of seeing Jurassic World Dominion are very fond for many reasons, I will not defend it as a movie. I will defend it as in terms of Steve Brusati working on it and his influence clearly showing. But I don't think that scene was particularly well done, although I do like the practical effect usage.
I didn't say it was good, to be clear.
That's fair. That's a fair point. I think it's a bad scene with some good things going for it. It just doesn't feel like the kind of animal you'd feature in Jurassic World. Like, it feels like you just put in a Komodo dragon or something. But it's also like they don't really move as fast as Komodo dragons can. I don't find it that scary. I don't find it that cool. I think it's cool scientifically. I'm going to give this a B. I don't dislike the design as much as Amelia. Like, I feel like C for me is when it starts to feel kind of gross. I don't feel grossed out by this, but it's just like, it's certainly not my favorite.
So in really reviewing this thing, I'm learning that basically I like two things about this animal. One, love the colors. Very fun colors. Nice job. Two, the fact that it is Dimetrodon. Like, that's basic. Three, the social animation. That's very cute. I do like that.
That is cute.
Yeah.
So, like, I really kind of just want to give it C because it's uninspired, honestly. Like, it's just meh. And, like, yeah, like, I do like Dimetrodon. I think it's a really neat animal. It would have been wonderful if they incorporated a whole lot more of the bits that made it more interesting, or also just like again, because like we don't necessarily only grade based off of scientific accuracy on this channel. Just made it a more interesting like design as well. Like, it is like the fun thing about Dimetrodon that we've said so many, well, not the fun thing, but the big thing that everybody knows about Dimetrodon, that if people know things about Dimetrodon, is it's not a dinosaur, and making it dinosaur-y ruins that. And I think that it, like, they could have fun making it very visually distinct from the dinosaurs in the as depicted in the movie and in the game. And I'm sad that they didn't. So I will also give it a C, but not C as in like, oh, it's starting to be bad, like James said. C in the very true sense of eh.
Okay. Well, I think that's C as in cringe. Because I think you're all, let's say, wrong. I think this slaps for a number of reasons. Reason one, it's a good shape. I like the shape of this animal. This is an animal that evokes, like when people sat down and drew sketches in like the 1790s of the antediluvian period. Like, this is a great lumbering beast with a horrible dragging tail and like a fearsome head and a ridiculous big sail that looks like, one of the old movies where they would just glue a sail to the back of a lizard and have it run around. And I like that a lot. I like it from an aesthetic point of view. Like, at one point in Earth's history, the things on land were big, horrible, tail-dragging little gremlins like this. Is it a great Dimetrodon? No, not really. I wish the head were much bigger and it were more frightening and it looked better. The sail's fine. I don't really care. The colors are pretty good. I don't even really care about the osteoderm. Like, most things that have scales, like most groups with scales, at some point something evolves an osteoderm in them. Like, maybe. I doubt it for Dimetrodon, but I don't know. It's not a big deal for me. A Ceratosaurus has osteoderms. I don't know what the hell's going on there. The social animation's cute. It's mostly like, if next week they announced that in the pack with Megalodon or whatever, there's going to be like Dimetrodon, like some other species of Dimetrodon, and it looks much better, it would probably affect how I think about Dimetrodon in the game. But it is the only thing that is currently this shape in the game. And I think if I wanted to make like a Paleozoic enclosure, it's going to be full of calamites and like water, and like before the dinosaur times, there were these terrible beasts called Dimetrodon. And I like it. I like it mostly from just kind of an aesthetic point of view versus a science point of view. So I'm going to say it's a low A. I think they're neat.
I'm kind of of two minds about its just inclusion in the franchise in general. Which in one I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I like Dimetrodon a lot. Dimetrodon's sweet. It's cool to have it in the game. It's cool to have it in the movies. At the same time, I kind of almost wish they had just only done Lystrosaurus. I don't know. There is just it broke a trend. It broke something, which is like Jurassic Park for me always kind of felt like it should stick to the Mesozoic. And then they haven't in the toy lines in the past, but it broke that, and I'm okay with it doing it because it went in the opposite way. If and when this Megalodon pack is announced to be a Cenozoic like pack, and we get a bunch of mammals, I probably won't be the happiest, because I've always felt like at least this pushed it back instead of bringing it forward in time, which I don't want them to do, but it seems like they're going to do that, and that's whatever. Simultaneously, it kind of feels a little bit kind of just like, yeah, and here's Dimetrodon, like it's like they were going through all the dinosaur toys, and they're like, oh, here's the one we haven't put in yet, is Dimetrodon. Like, let's put it in. And maybe there's good reason to do it, because people like it, and it's cool, and I like it, and it is cool. But also, I feel like there could have been a better choice, like a Gorgonopsid, or, I don't know, maybe just leaving it in Lystrosaurus. But it's of no consequence, because it's here now. I like that it's here. It is neat. I don't think I ever put these in my parks. I am bothered by the osteoderms. I don't like, not just because I don't think they had them, but because I don't like the way they look particularly on this. I like some of the fun colors. The head bothers me. This, it's definitely not a D tier because I'm not aggrieved by it. It doesn't hurt me. But I think this is also, in the vein of Scott, just like a true C tier design. It's just like, there's a Dimetrodon, and it could be a lot better, but it could also be worse. So it's C tier.
Oh, way worse. Alrighty.
Sure,
well, with that, we have 3 C's, a B, and an A, which does...
I think it's just C.
Just C?
At that point, right?
Majority roll.
Is it C or is it brought up into B?
Well, you could think a C and an A. One of the C's and the A average out to a B.
Yeah, it's a C. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because then you've got 2 B's and 2 C's, and then I would say
Cowardice.
that makes it a C.
Does it?
Yeah. No, it's 3 C's, right?
There are 3 C's, a B, and an A.
Yeah, so
I'm
there's
saying
2
one of the
C's
C's.
and 1 B. Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah. Yeah, okay, I agree, C.
Yes.
By that.
Maybe we call
Alrighty.
it high C.
High C.
I could put it up at the
Rank
top.
of champions.
All right, I'll put it up near the top.
Okay.
All right. So with that, Dimetrodon gets put at the top of C tier.
Ole mole.
Hooray.
None of you will be spared during the revolution,
Well,
except for Nathan.
let us together see who will possibly be spared during the revolution when we
Spin.
spin
that wheel.
that
Wheel.
wheel.
Oh,
Turn the wheel. God
please don't be
dang
an
it.
ornithician.
Sorry, cat.
Please don't be an ornithician. Please
I
don't be an
bet scared
ornithician.
the cat.
No,
It's gonna be an
no,
ornithician.
no.
No.
Oh,
Oh, thank God. Okay, well, at least it wasn't another duck.
If it was another Lambeosaurine,
Okay.
oh my gosh. Hey,
yeah, I
Pachycephalosaurus
like
is fun.
Pachycephalosaurus.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
It'll be good.
I would have liked a theropod.
Oh,
It would have been
God.
neat.
Or pterosaur or something.
Hey, we
I'm
just
gonna-
had a theropod.
We
Be
just
grateful.
did a theropod. What are you talking
We didn't.
about?
We're recording these out of order. We're wearing the same clothes.
They know.
I'm in a room I'm never in. Everyone will know.
All right. Well, thank you for having me on. It really was a
Hey,
pleasure.
thanks
Yeah.
for joining
Yeah.
us.
Thank you, Nathan. This was
Bye, Nathan. Yeah, it was cool to have you, bro.
it was
Yeah.
super fun and incredibly fortuitous that you were here because man, you really pulled all of our weight in that episode.
Yeah, that would have been a stinker without you.
I don't
It's
think we could have
okay.
done it without you.
Yes.
It would have been a lot of us pretending like we didn't read a Wikipedia page and going, "Hey, did you guys
Yes.
know?"
Welcome back.
You know, in my
Did you know
research,
that-
I found out.
My
Did you
extension-
know it has a sail?
Yeah.
Did you know it's not a dinosaur?
Yeah. Did you guys know it's not a dinosaur?
Holy But one thing that I need to not only thank you though, Nathan. I need to thank our
Yes.
patrons. But maybe most of all Nathan right now.
No. We only do the shout outs for people who pay us at the Gorgosaurus tier or above.
Well, right, and those people are, as of this recording, Benjamin Seepser, nickname, original username, Philip Fico, Christopher Bellis Jones, Adam AK92, Adamolos, Camphibia, Danokairis, Dinodom, King Zashu, Max Ironpaw, Pythonic, Swamp Ape Science, Wanderer, and we. Thank you all for your support of the Skeleton Crew. Special thanks again to Nathan for appearing in this episode and sharing a wealth of information
Yes.
about Dimetrodon we otherwise would have had no access to. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. We will see you next week when we talk about the last Pachycephalosaur, I think, in the game. Right? No,
Nope.
wait, we still have
We
Draco.
still have Dracorex.
Oh boy.
Ride never ends.
Well, yeah. Anyway, thank you all very much, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good
Bye
night,
forever.
everybody.